Hi everyone, welcome to session 10 of CIS RM exam preparation. So here we have seen until control objective in the previous videos. In this video, we'll talk about compliance score calculation. So external authority, authority document, citation, policy, control objective. So we have an example where entity A, entity B, entity C, control A, control B, control C. If control A fails, control B and C passes, then sum of weight of compliant records by sum of weight of all records into 100. That's the calculation. Sum of weight of compliant controls by sum of weight of all controls into 100 is the calculation, and draft controls are not part of the calculation. All entities don't have same weight. All controls are not in same state at same time. So next is control record lifecycle. Draft assign compliance user to modify edit controls, move into attest state. Attest control owners are assigned by default to attest that control is implemented. Only designated owner should attest. It is not recommended for admin to impersonate and attest. If owner is not available, then uh, return control and reassign. Review moves to review after attestation, requires SN compliance manager role to move from review to monitor or return to draft. Monitor indicators may be scheduled in monitor state. Controls are not edited in monitor state. Updates are made based on indicator activity. Retired controls are retired when compliance is no longer needed. Indicators won't run in trust state. If scoped entity becomes inactive, controls is retired. Compliance manager can also retire a control manually. In attest, an attestation is active and sent to control manager. When attestation is completed, the controls remain in review state until the compliance member reviews the attestation results. If control is moved back to draft, the attestation is cancelled. In monitor, indicators monitor the control status and evaluate organization's compliance. Create multiple controls for same entity. By default, only one control per entity from a given control objective is allowed. This feature allows for granularity at the control level while keeping control objective association. Create new controls with unique names, scope with existing entity, can assign diff. So this functionality we're talking about is create multiple controls for same entity. So by default, one control per entity from a given control objective, but if you want to add more controls, that is possible. Create new controls with unique names, scope with an existing entity, can assign different control owner for granular controls. Unique controls are included in compliance core. Follows item generation logic. If entities required, both auto creator and manual creator controls get retired. If entity is retired, both auto and manual create controls will be retired. Name of control must be unique when creating multiple controls for same entity. Consolidated attestation, so global scope at assessment instance, fields by GRC, group assessment name, layered controls or risk, process status group by same or different responses. Then you have GRC profile scope, assessment grouping criteria, scripting towards GRC assessment details base, creates a group GRC assessment client details, group preview. Business rules, global scope, handle assessment group reassignment, GRC profile scope, remove from group if cancelled, update children when parent is complete. So this is the consolidated attestation uh, config. Issue group rules, policy compliance administration issue group rules. Set as default to true/false, change default attestation, perform dictionary override on control objective attestation field. Evidence collection primarily supports audit but available in compliance. Assigned users can provide evidence from service portal. Audit functionality is more robust than compliance functionality. Differs from indicator template. So there is a difference between evidence collection and indicator templates. Evidence collection use case can be created ad hoc, doesn't automatically impact control status, supports a control test, can be multi-group effort, includes business process, baseline process flow with validation that the request has been fulfilled. And then you have the manual indicator use case occurs on a set schedule and frequency, which means on a given day at a given time or a given week at a given day and so on. Results could change the control status to compliant/non-compliant, typically sent to control owner. Control owner marks an indicator task as complete and closes it without outside party validation. Evidence collection for a control, prepare evidence request, step by step, start open a control in any state, New from evidence request layer list, answer questions, request management record gets created. Placeholder record with prefix EVR created in draft state. Each individual request is added as a collection detail with prefix ECD. So evidence EVR is evidence request, evidence collection is ECD. Process evidence request. Open EVR record in draft state, select request evidence view action. Evidence tasks are generated with prefix as EVD. EVD records appear in evidence layer list on the control once generated. Evidence request allows the controller to view the status of all connected evidence tasks records in one place. Evidence collection so life cycle. After EVD is created, controller can provide information or request approval from someone in their organization. Requester can request for more info. They receive completed EVD or accept evidence, which will close the EVD record. Two personas, control owner, send info such as authority docs, policy, citations, controls, control objectives, control tests, entities issues. Audit entity owner, send info, authority docs, policy, citations. Now, so table structure, table architecture, evidence request, SNGRC, advanced evidence request, and there is evidence, which is SNGRC, advanced evidence response. So basically, they're part of GRC advanced scope. EVR is a prefix, EVD is a prefix. Evidence detail, SNGRC, advanced evidence collection details, and which is ECD, evidence collection detail. So you have evidence request, evidence, and evidence detail. Then you have regulatory change management, management of regulatory policy and compliance that applies to an organization. So you have 342 billion in banking fines and 850 million erased in profits. Process flow, change identification, change implementation, change communication, compliance, source monitoring, applicability assessment, assessment impact. GRC integration with RSS feeds, external feed 1, feed registry transformation, get internal taxonomy, regulatory alert, feed 2, feed registry transformation, get internal taxonomy, regulatory alert. PCI website, newsroom, industry buildings. Processing RSS feeds, RCM manager assign incoming regulatory alert to RCM coordinator. Status is new. Analyzed by RCM coordinator. And then impact assessment, yes. State is impact assessment to entity owner, no. State is in progress. So if impact assessment is required, then entity owner will have to do the impact assessment. If it is not, it goes to in progress. Is the alert applicable by RCM coordinator? Is that applicable? Yes or no? No. State is cancelled. Yes. Relate citation and change task is auto-generated. Assign change task to RCM manager. RCM coordinator responds to change task and creates action tasks. So there's change task, there's action task is generated for each related control objective automatically. So compliance teams and risk teams complete and close action task, close change task. So basically here, if you see, there are different types of tasks. One is called action task, one is called change task. The life cycle is, it starts in new state and it is assigned to a RCM coordinator. Depending on whether impact assessment is required or not. If it is required, then it gets assigned to entity owner. If it is not required, it moves to in progress, and then we check the applicability of alert. If alert is applicable, then it will be set to, we need to relate a citation, and change task is auto-generated, and it gets assigned to RC manager. RCM coordinator responds to change task and creates action tasks. And compliance teams complete and close action task, they close change task, that closes change task. Risk team complete and close action task, close change task. Action task is generated for each related control objective automatically. Then you have RCM architecture. There is provider, there is connection credential alias. SNGRC REG change provider is a table name. Let's look at this. SNGRC. Let's look at provider table, which is, uh, let's look at a provider. SNGRC provider is a table name. What do we have here? Configure table. Yeah, so I was not able to find this table, but that will come to that in a minute. Yeah, so then you have sys alias, which is a connection credential alias. RSS feeds in integration to regulatory change. Feed source is one table. Flow designer flow pulls RSS feeds to regulatory change. Regulatory change management. This is the table name. Let's look at this one here. So that is this. And then we have primary table relationships, processing a feed, and then state is new, as I mentioned. If needs impact assessment, yes, then impact assessment, and even completes impact assessment. A regulatory event impact assessment context, that is the table name. So it maps a regulatory alert to entity. Then next we have regulatory impact assessment, which is an instance of the impact assessment. This is this one here. And then we have table is equal to RCM context. So we have to say table RCM. Yeah, but this is the table name basically. And then we have state in progress regulatory alert, where you have regulatory change alert. These are all these ones. It's regulatory feed, which is regulatory alerts basically. So it's pulling the RSS feed into this regulatory feed table, which is nothing but a regulatory alert. And then there is alert applicable. We have change task, which generates this change regulatory task. So on that, these are all the tasks which are assigned to different individuals. And there's a prefix IMPD is a prefix, RE regulatory change is one more prefix. And then we have assign change task to RCM coordinator, respond to change task and create action tasks. Action task for each control objective is auto-generated. So let's look at the action task table. SNGRC, REG, change action task. So this is the action task table, SNGRC, REG, change regulatory action task. Change as well regulatory. That's table name. And then we have RCM config feed process, taxonomy configuration, 5 categorization classes provided in baseline, which is based on regulatory bodies, content types, jurisdictions, themes, sectors to assign and manage feeds, can be used to auto assign feeds. Additional configuration class can be added. Values should be updated. Hierarchical leads to a provider. Multiple values within each category can be assigned to a provider. Incoming RS records are assigned to taxonomy values. All that is done as part of taxonomy configuration. We'll continue the configuration of the assessment in next session. Thank you.